Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. The session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin today's session, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. So please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. I would now like to welcome Swam, our speaker for today's session. Swam is working at Microsoft as program manager. She has 13 plus years of experience, specialized on wide breadth of MSBI technologies with Power BI right from her initial days. Prior to Microsoft, she was leading the Power BI CoE team. But for now, I will hand over to Swam to begin the session. Let me bring her into the stream. There you go. Hi, Swam. How are you doing?
Hey Rashmita, all good. Good morning.
Morning, morning. Nice to have you back, and
Yes,
the floor is all yours.
thank you so much. As the year is ending, I believe everybody is slowing down a bit. At least got the opportunity to do so. So, ending with some learning for me too. So, this is an important topic, interesting topic rather, that I picked up in recent days, and I felt there's so less being available regarding visual calculations. Why not have a session about it? So, hi there, I'm Swayam. I'm a program manager at Microsoft Fabric Customer Advisory Team. And I help enterprises, organizations, customers, users, data community to help to guide them through Fabric adoption, through Power BI adoption. And for Microsoft Reactor, it's been a pleasure to present a lot of sessions. I generally tend to limit myself to optimizing Power BI reports, but I think it's high time that we move into Fabric too. But fantastic to meet all of you. Let's start, right? So, okay. I hope I'm able to. Yep. So, visual calculations, right? Visual calculations are in public preview. It's important to know that it has not gone into GA yet. And hence, it's important to understand that visual calculations will undergo some changes. A lot of things are being included. You would see in every Power BI blog and Fabric blog that's being released every month, there is one or more visual calculation updates, right? So let's start with an overview of visual calculations. Visual calculations are DAX calculations, but they are a simpler way um, uh, to add calculations to your Power BI report, right? They are at the end of the day DAX. They have to be written in DAX, and but compared to measures where you actually write your core DAX or data analysis expressions, it's easier to understand, maintain, and write visual calculations DAX, right? The particularity of visual calculations is they are calculations based on top of visuals. On the other hand, you can imagine measures is written on the whole model. So it has the capability to work on the whole model irrespective of whatever dimensions you are choosing. However, for visuals, it is very much limited to, for visual calculations, it's limited to visuals, right? So there are also limited number of visuals that visual calculations work on. There's the considerations and limitations part. We will go through and look into which of the visuals support visual calculations. The list is increasing by the day. I'm quite sure by the time it is GA, we will have all the visuals and which are compatible with visual calculations, right? Okay. Now, visual calculators are much more simpler, but does it provide performance benefits? Yes, in a lot of cases, we have seen performance benefits. We will have a quick check on the performance benefits today, but I'm working with a smaller data set, so we might not see a lot of difference. But at least you would know how to check calculations, how to track the performance of visual calculations, and we will use that studio for this, right? Okay. What else? Okay. You can create visual calculations on top of columns, measures, and other visual calculations, similar to how you do in measures. Again, it provides a user-friendly interface and a real-time validation. So for measures, it's quite difficult to actually see earlier. It was quite difficult to see when you code, you would not be able to see the result, right? With visual calculations, you have this real-time validation. The moment you write the DAX, write the formulas, you will have the data also listed because it works over a visual on an already aggregated data. It has that level of understanding. Now, I would counter to one of the point that I've mentioned. Currently, with DAX query view, you should have real-time validation too, but visual calculations give you that validation on top of the report, so it's much more easier. And of course, again, without needing to have an extensive DAX knowledge, because it's quite steep a learning curve for DAX. Visual calculations are much more easy. Okay, let's go to the next slide. When to use visual calculations? Fair question, isn't it? I would imagine you would say visual calculations are similar to measures. Why to use specific visual calculations? Yes, it is a lot easier to use, of course. A lot of DAX code are cumbersome to write, and we can check one of them. Actually, I'll give you a comparison of one of them. Um, Visual calculations have built-in functions like running totals, percentage of grand total, versus previous versus last, and you can use a range of other functions. We will also discuss those other functions, and without writing some complex DAX code, which can leverage hierarchical navigation. Visual calculations gives you much more easier, and I will go through some examples during our demo, right? Um, Also, you can use visual calculations if you need certain KPIs for specific visuals only. Imagine writing a big measure which will be only used for one visual, or say it with a complex code which is only needed for that report, just one page, right? Why not create visual calculations and make it easier to maintain and write? Right? You can use the same metric, different conditional formatting. And we will see that conditional formatting part too. Use the same metric, repeat it again and again. Performance doesn't hit because the data is cached, and conditional formatting gets applied. Different conditional formatting gets applied, right? And of course, the performance is also a bonus. But again, I always post a disclaimer: performance is based on how you are representing the visual calculation of the measure. Okay, good. Let's look at some template functions. No, let's go to some demo. Okay, give me a moment while I bring up my demo Power BI report. Rashmita, can you confirm if you are able to see my Power BI report now?
Yes.
Super. Okay. So this is where you start with. As usual, if you are a Power BI developer, author, you would have seen this. This is Power BI desktop, and um, I'm using a predefined semantic model, and I will give you the access to this. This is available in Microsoft Learn. Um, all this data are preloaded, so I don't need to load any data right now. We'll straight away start with it. Okay, no, let's start with something. Okay, let's start with year and simple sales. Okay, as simple as that. So we have the sales for Financial year, remember financial year 2018, 19, and 20. Now, you would remember that calendar year and financial year are different. And to calculate time intelligence based on financial year has always been so difficult, so not easy, right? But with visual calculations, it's a lot easier. So that's also one of the advantage. Now, we will write a visual calculations as it's as easy as this. So let's calculate our running sum. Okay. So running sum is, running sum of previous field. So the field section needs to be replaced by sum of sales. Now remember, this sum of sales is already used here. So it's already aggregated, and the aggregated value can be used here. Let me write this. Now, I'm not pressing enter. I'm not pressing enter because I want to show you something. So this is a visual metric zone where the real-time validation. So as you're writing, you are getting the values here, right? So there you go, the real-time validation. This is of course the formula bar, and you see the formula bar is different than what you write measure in. Measure is at the top, visual calculations at the bottom. The visual that you are writing upon, the visual calculations that you're writing on a visual, that visual goes on a focus mode, right? And you can see it in a more detailed level, so you can include more and more visual calculations. So don't worry about that. Let's press enter and see what's going on. Yeah, okay. So right, so we have 164 for the 2018, and then for 2019 we have the sum of 164 and 279. Right now, you see I don't have it in whole numbers. I can always click on it, go to edit, and then go to my format. Sorry, where did my tab go? And I forgot where do I do my formatting. Okay, we can do it. Don't worry about it. We'll change it. So in the meantime, just let's create another one. Okay, this is the running sum. Let's create another one. Let's create a new visual calculation. Let's get moving average, right? So moving average is sum of sales and window sizes. Give me a moment. Yep. Let's do it too, because we need 2 rows, sum of our moving average. Right. So the first one doesn't have a moving average because it's the first row. For 2019, we have the average of 1 and 2. For 2020, we have the average of 2 and 3. Remember, 2 and 3. Why? Because we have given, let me show you again, we have given a window of 2. Okay, so that means I am calculating moving average with respect to 2 years. Okay, let's have one more visual calculation saying moving average 1,
So
but yes,
So I'm
yes,
sorry to say there is one request from the audience. Can you please increase your font size? I think people are having little difficulty in viewing the report.
okay,
Yeah, thank you.
okay. Is it fine? Do you think I'm able to zoom in?
Um,
Yep, this is okay?
I think you,
Yes, it should be.
okay.
I've zoomed
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Okay, we'll go to window size, sum of sales again. It's simple as that. Let's use sum of sales and window size this time 3. Let's check it out. Okay, come on. Okay, let's do this. Now, this moving average is something different. This moving average is for the last two months, right? So this is the moving average considering 164 to 79. But here, if you see, This is a moving average of last 3 months, right? So with respect to the window size, you can, range out, you can spread out the level of moving averages, or even span through different hierarchies. And we'll go to the hierarchy point a bit later. Let me show you something else. Now, say I want to rename it moving average 3 months, right? And let's, for this, moving average 2 months. Okay. Now what I want to do is, I don't want to show the sum of sales, right? So I can hide it. Yes, I can hide it. The moment I hide it, while I'm able to see the details here, my running sum in my visual, you would see that things changes, right? What I can also do, say I only want to see running sum, and I want to see the moving of averages only on tooltips. I can do that too, right? Can do that too. Now, of course, it makes sense when you have number of years, or even if you are doing on month level, sure. Perfect. Let's do some, I think we'll move on and show you the hierarchy in the next one. Okay, let's go back to the report. Let's create another visual and the line filters, because I think it's better that we segregate all of these. Let's go out to my data tab. Let's go by category, and let's give my access category. Let's go for month on month. Let's do month, and let's go month on month profit. Would that make sense? Yes. Month on month profit is a bit, let's do quarter, okay? So let's do quarterly profit. Now, quarterly profit is much more easier to track. Let's do that. Okay. Now I've seen that this is my quarter by quarter profit, but I would like to know, how much it is doing versus the previous quarter, right? If it's growing versus the previous quarter or not. So let's check with something, another function, which is versus previous. Click on it, and automatically takes on the visual calculation tab. You'll see I just need to replace it with profit. This profit is already used. Remember, this profit is already aggregated. The sales wasn't aggregated, if you see here. That's why it was sum of sales. The profit is aggregated. That's why it's profit. Here, and again, replace the field with profit. The IntelliSense works fine, as we see here. Okay. Yeah. So every time, every quarter, it just has a difference of it calculates the difference between this quarter and previous quarter and gives me the details in dark blue line, right? So much easier. Note, versus previous was so much difficult for when you try to write for financial years. It was difficult. When I say difficult, it wasn't easy for sure. Okay. Give me a moment. Okay. I want to check something else too here. Say, okay, back to report. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a raw copy of this. Fantastic. So let's say, okay, let me just cancel this. Let me create a new one. Okay, let me create a running sum, but this time we'll do profit. Of course, running sum of profit. Earlier we did running sum of. So this is my running sum, but this running sum is now, if you see the details here, okay, my running sum is Q1, 45, 145, then 145, 187 is 333, and my running sum just calculates, adds as it is. Now, What I want is I want to reset every new financial year, right? Every new financial year, I want to reset. So it should not be 510 here. It should be 379 because I'm resetting in my financial year. So I think it would be Q3 June, isn't it? Let's check it out. So again, I create a running sum of the fee less profit. Ah, okay, and there is a parameter that you can set which is called as highest parent. Okay, no, it should be lowest parent, not highest parent. Hold on. Okay, let's see how it works. Now even I'm checking how it's working. Let's go back to matrix tab, and did I add here? No, let's check out here, and here should be in my rows with the hierarchy. I expand all, and there you go. Okay, let's check it out. So my 379, my running sum is fine. 379, 330.709, which is the sum of these two. Again, 12, 11. I think there's a negative here, so it should be 9. It's a negative value. Now this should be okay. This should be 3 3. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm doing the running sum reset, right? So this is 3 3 again. Running sum is 3 3, and then 4 8 4 and 1 4 5. Right? Does it make sense? I think it's doesn't. Does it? Oh yeah, it doesn't because I have sorted differently. Okay, cool. Now it should make sense. So it's a negative value, and hence it the running sum decreases from 1. Now again, it is reset. If you see, it's 379, 379. Then, but for running sum which does not reset, it is 510. Okay, again for the year 2020, this is reset as minus 447. But for running sum which is not reset is 895, carrying on from the previous values, right? So that works on the lowest level. Now, by default, it's highest parent, but you can set lowest parent. Now, hold on, we'll explain highest parent, lowest parent. We'll give you the documentation. I'll show you the documentation, explain what it is. Okay, superb. So we have created a few visuals, and you can see all of these visuals are set on a visual level. All the visual calculations are set on a visual level. Let's create another one. Let's create product category, and it's very interesting. Let's create some cost, and we will do a visual calculation, which is versus first, which is field sum of cost. Okay, and let's do versus last, right? It's interesting because it doesn't make sense, but think about how it is compared to accessories, right? Just comparing to accessories. Everything is comparing to accessories here. So cost, sum of cost, yes. Sum of cost, yes. So, and now it is comparing with respect to what's happening with respect to last value, which is X. Even if you don't want for accessories, let's include some year here. That would make much more sense for us, isn't it? Yeah. And some matrix visual so that we can let's remove the categories, or bring in the categories here, or bring in the year here. Actually, I think this way. Okay, so expanding all. Now it's versus the last and the first. Okay, Now again, for versus last and fast, I would like to, when it says versus first, it should 2019 should compare to 2018, 2020 should compare to 2018 for each of the level. What do I do? As simple as that. I do a highest parent, lowest parent. Okay, perfect. So every time it resets, right? Perfect. Let's do it for here also. Lowest parent. Okay. Now this also resets, right? Perfect. The lowest parent is 40, and it so it's minus 40 and then minus 10. This is perfect. Sorry, 51. Perfect. What else? So you can traverse along leaves of the hierarchical navigation through this. Give me a moment. So we have checked, I'm checking my slides if I have gotten everything. I've shown you hiding the visual, hiding the fields from the visual, moving into tooltips. What else? Yes. Hold on. Um, Okay, all done. Good. Now let's look into some custom visual calculations. Okay. Now, these are the templatized visual calculations running some moving averages. There are quite a few. There are more which I plan to do. But this is visual calculation is not limited with these templates, just by these templates. You can always write a custom one. Let's try to write a custom one. Okay. So I will get a customer fiscal hierarchy here. We will try to put in matrix because we would like to check with respect to the different levels of the hierarchy, right? So there you go. I have sales. It's much more easier to get the sales and do it. And then what we will do is, let's do previous quarter. So now what we will do is visual calculations and custom, right? The moment we say previous quarter custom, so it would be as simple as writing this. I'm just copying and pasting this previous of sum of sales, which is fine. Okay, which makes lots of sense here. Let's go back to the report and create another one. Okay, so I'm copying this, but right now we will change this, not previous sales. Let's see how it comes. So I'm not telling you, I'll let you guess what's happening here, and then we'll come to the explanation. Okay. And I'll explain this time, I'll explain what's happening here. So my previous sales is previous of sum of sales and the lowest parent. Okay, we'll go back and compare what's happening here. Okay, so while this is, I've written previous quarter, it should not be previous quarter, but we'll check. Again, if you see, when I, let's say previous period sales, no reset. Okay, no reset. Okay, fine, perfect. So that will give you an idea. So without resetting, what's happening? If I'm getting previous period sales, that means on August, I'm getting 2017 July value, right? When it comes to a quarter level, it will give you the sales for previous quarter. It works on each of the quarter. So uh, um, it goes to previous quarter, takes the value, put it here. Note, if you had done this for financial year for DAX, it would have been more than a line of code or a simpler code here, right? And then again, it goes for every quarter and stuff, right? In this case too, it also goes there. What I want is, in this case, say, I want, I want to reset it and say, okay, um, I want to get here actually previous quarter. That means September's amount, right? I don't want to reset it as such. So let's go here and say highest parent. So that means it will now negate the resetting at each level. Actually, I should press. Now, if you see, it ignores the resetting here. So previous month sale. When we come to the next quarter, it actually doesn't reset and takes on the September 2017 value. Now I realize. So, okay, so this is reset. Sorry about that. This is resetting because at every level we are resetting the value. Sorry, guys. It should be lowest band. Every time it's resetting the value. And this one, it's not resetting the value. So okay, let me go through that again. And this uses highest parent. Highest parent would not let you reset. It will consider highest parent as 2018 here. Okay, this the first row would be the highest parent. Let's go back again. Again, when I say reset, that means at every level, every leaf will take reset at every parent's parents value, right? So okay, for this quarter these are the previous sales. For another quarter I will have the sales for pertaining to that quarter. Now let's collapse entire level. So now you see here too, it's resetting for every quarter year now, right? For every year it's resetting. Again, in this case it's not resetting at all, it's just moving ahead. Here every year you would see there's a blank value because for quarter one it's saying, because it's I have to reset, I cannot take previous year's value, previous quarter value. Okay, in this case let's collapse again. What's happening here? Why is it not taking? Am I doing something wrong here? The formula seems to keep changing. Why so? Debug. See, formula keeps changing. I don't know what's happening. Let's check it again. Yes, it's okay. Yeah, there's some problem in here, I think. Okay, so what it should do, ideally, let me go back. It's working, yes. It's resetting at every, it's not resetting at every data. Now I have to check why it's not coming for July. Okay. Looks like there is some bug for this. It's resetting it every year. Okay, I know what's happening. Okay, now I think there is a range which I have to take, but let's explain that later. Okay, for month it is working, but for year again it's resetting, isn't it? For every year it's getting reset. I think we have to check. Okay, fine. Let's check another example. Maybe we can I can help you out with clarifying this kinds of doubts again with another example. Let's create a custom calculation of running sum. Okay, again we'll take the fiscal hierarchy because it makes much more sense. right? Because I have so many levels, right? Sum of sales. Let's take sales or quantity for that matter, and the running sum of quantity, as easy as this. Sum of quantity, there you go, the running sum of quantity. And next we will create another visual calculation where we would say running sum of S sum of quantity, and we will do rows and minus okay. Let's check here. Okay, so this should be easier to explain again. It's coming with the same values. Yeah, okay, good. Again, with the same example, for every month, it's resetting itself. You see, -1. I have what I've done is I can replace highest parent and lowest parent by -1 and +1. And let me show you the actually, let me show you the range function so that we don't have um, confusion here. How do you do it? Let me bring in this. Now see, so okay, so reset function, you can use this reset function to highest parent or lowest parent. You can also use a negative integer, right? -1, minus or a +1, right? Again, this is how you write it. Either part 1 you can write, or a highest parent, or lowest parent, or -2 or -1, right? There is also something called as reset versus access and reset versus order by and partition by. We'll have a look at this if we have enough time. But what I wanted to show is you have these different functions that you can use at every level. For example, let's go to range function. If we have range function, what we can do is we can create a range of last 6 months. Consider a DAX function, DAX measure where you are writing sales for last 6 months. It is quite difficult, but in this case, you can use it in visual range, can be used in visual calculations, um, and can be calculated for last 6 months. I will have an example, but just to know that there are the functions which are available for DAX. Remember, this range function is not available for calculated column, not for calculated table, neither for measure, but for visual calculation. So you would please check if you're using range function, it has to be in visual calculations. So visual calculations gives you the capability of using certain functions only inside the visual calculation, not outside, not in measure, okay, or even calculated columns. So we'll check that. Let's check the other one actually. Trying to get that example. Okay, yes. Let's move to another example maybe. Okay. Let's move to another example where we have a month. Okay. And we have again sum of sales. And then we have last 3 months sales we'll calculate. Let's see in table. And then we add a calculation visual and a visual. In this case, we will have sales 3 months. Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. Now, if you see here, 489 because last 3 months, the 3 months are not available beyond before July 2017, so it remains the same. Uh, and it's the total sum sales. Remember, some when I say sales 3 months, it's total sum of sales. Okay, good. Perfect. And then for when it comes to second month in August, it sums up 4 and 15. When it comes to September, it sums up 11, 15, and 4. The moment it comes to October, it only sums up 8, 11, and 15. Okay, so only last 3 months sales. Does this make sense? So what we are using here is a range function, and we are saying that please consider last 2 months. When I say true, that means consider this row's month 2, and of course calculate on a row by row basis, and of course respect the highest parent, right? We can do it for lowest parent too. Okay, so you see, you can use so much custom visual calculations also. Even I am trying to deep dive into so many utilities of visual functions, but so currently what I'll show you is how does DAX function compare with visual calculations. Let's go. So here in the previous 2 3 examples, we have seen how we can use custom calculations, or even for that matter traverse through a hierarchy navigation, right? Let's take another example where we compare visual calculations versus DAX. Let's just take one of the example, no, from visual calculations. So okay, so let's just take running sum, which is much more easier. Let's see if I have a running sum or something. Actually running sum, yes. What we'll do is let's keep it simple. Let's keep it just year wise so that we have lesser data to deal with and more understanding. Let's consider one versus previous. So versus previous would be profit. Sorry. Okay, so versus previous and running sum. This is my visual calculation. Now let's do the same thing for DAX, right? What I'm going to do is I am going to pull in here. Now I need to create a DAX. This is my financial year, of course. Okay, now let's write DAX. Just copying the code. Okay, and my table should be target table. Okay, good. So okay, and the target table, let's bring in running sum. Let's put in table format. Okay. Okay, let's go to profit. Let's go to format currency, dynamic tab. Let's paste this. Let's go to running sum. And let's also go, I'm just doing some tips and tricks so that you know what I'm doing here. I'm going to the format tab. The format tab is not correct, so I'm just putting the correct format, and that's all. So we'll get something similar to this, right? And yes, we can format it too. We can use format function to do this too. Okay, good. Okay. Now, okay, this is coming fine. Yes, 142, 999, 2021 value is not there. So I'll just filter it off for, so that makes sense, you know, because the date time is, oh, sorry, the date is there, but the year is not actually representing correctly. Okay. So there you go. We have this running some DAX. Let's create some versus previous maybe, because yeah, I've added one more. Here's one of the, let's do this. We don't have profit YTD. Okay, we'll create profit YTD first. Okay, because we don't have profit YTD. Now I'm calculating with respect to this. I'm calculating with respect to financial year, and hence I have to put up a different profit values for financial year. Okay, now next I am doing it for versus. There you go. Now let me put in my target table, bring into my visual. Okay, yep. Again, format it. How do you format it? You go there, pick up the dynamic format from here, go to previous DAX, and format it here to go to dynamic, and then with my, just paste the dynamic formatting. There you go. Okay, there you go. So I have my this too. Now I will create a blank page. Okay. In the meantime, let me open my DAX Studio. Okay. I cannot clear my cache, but at least let's switch on the performance analyzer. Okay. Now let's refresh the visuals. I know the cache would remain. That's why I wanted to restart, but let's do it. Which is a matrix, which is a table. Let's see. So this is a matrix and this is the table. Let's rename it. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. Let's format it, and that's why it's important that you give a title to, this is the DAX. And let's go to this. This is a VC, visual calculations, right? Okay. So we stop, we clear, we start the recording again, and we refresh the visuals, right? So we see visual calculations takes less time. If you see now, I'm working with very small amount of data. I think the biggest table is just 50K rows, just to show you. It's just 50K, 57K rows. So it's take comparatively, and I'm working with just three on a year level, right? So that's why but still you can see the difference. Let's refresh it again. Again, VC takes lesser time. I don't know why it took more time than the previous one, but at the end of the day, we will consistently see that visual calculations will take lesser amount of time. So the bigger data set might work. And when I say might, it depends upon scenarios, on how visual calculations can work better in certain scenarios, and in other scenarios, it might not be as performant as we would like to. Right? I wanted to show it with DAX Studio, but my system is not able to open it. It seems there is an error. But so with Performance Analyzer, there are evidences where we can show that visual calculations can be faster with respect to DAX, and it might work better on larger data sets too. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to our slides and see whether we have covered everything or not. Okay, this visual calculation template function, yes, we have covered a lot of them, average of children, etc., etc. We can always check, right? Now, the important thing, keeping in view, we have 10 minutes, is visual calculations versus others comparison. Now, custom column is written in M in Power BI, and you go, how do you write custom column? You write in Power Query. So through M, calculated column can be written in DAX, and all of them uses DAX as the language. When custom column calculated, it's calculated at data refresh and column, calculated and custom column both at data refresh. Calculated table, if you don't know, is also calculated in data refreshment. Measure only on demand when you start interacting. Visual calculation also on demand when you start interacting with that specific visual. Okay. Um, Again, there is some level of cache because these results are materialized in memory and they are used as requirements. So the storage engine cache is being used here. All of these calculated columns are in the row context. Measure is in filter context, but visual is in a new context level, which is called as the visual level. The data that is used in that specific visual, right? Stored in table, it's stored in model, but in visual calculation side, it is stored in visual level, right? Does it changes with respect to user interaction? Of course, the columns don't change, even the calculated table, but measures change. So one, because it's calculated on the fly and at runtime, yes, when you change with respect to that, the results also changes, right? The underlying figure rate changes. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and the usage is slices, filters, rows, and columns. I think it's for visual calculation. What is important to know? It's only on a visual level. Right now, while we have known all about visual calculations, let's still see how why DAX can be better at times. You would understand that visual calculation. You do understand that visual calculation is on a visual level. Now, consider the example that if you need to create one calculation in a single visual, it makes much more sense to visual calculation. But using measures, if you're needing to create KPIs at same KPI at every visual, it's better to create a measure, right? Why will you create that same KPI in every visual calculations? That is definitely doesn't give you performance benefit. So using measure in that way is a better way of creating KPIs, creating measures, creating key metrics, right? And of course, you can reuse it. You can create only once and can reuse with respect to different filter contexts used in different visuals, right? Um, Again, I think all these points highlight that if you would like to create the same metric throughout the whole all reports page or report pages, it's better to create measures because it's a cleaner way of working. You can reuse, you can use on any visual you like at any point, right? And for that matter, the important point is there is a limitation which is called out here that measures can be used with calculation groups and field parameters. For now, visual calculations cannot be used. I'm hoping in future it this limitation will be removed, but these are the points to consider before starting visual calculations. Again, highlighting the point that visual calculation does give you a little bit of performance benefit. You have to know, and of course, it's easier to use with respect to the amount of code that you have to write, but it's important to know when and where to use visual calculations and when and where to use, it would be better to use measures, right? That's all that I had for today, right? Any questions? Do we have any question?
So we are good for now.
Okay, perfect. Let me know if you have any questions. We have 5 minutes. And
Sure. And in case folks you want to reach out to her later, I have already dropped
right.
her social handle in the chat. So please feel free to reach out to her. But thank you so much, Swam, for hosting this session. And thank you all for joining us today. Please visit Microsoft Reactor website for more upcoming sessions. Also, we would appreciate your feedback on today's session as it will help us to curate future sessions. Please scan the QR code and do share your feedback. Today's event ID is 24340. Feel free to use the Learn module link. This will give you access to additional resources to take your learning
Yes.
further. Thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day.
I can add one thing though, everybody. The Learn link that I've shared that has the same resources that I'm using here. Okay, so they had a curated semantic model. You can start visual calculations immediately. That has a solution PBIX and a starter PBIX to start with, right? So all the best for your learning journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Swam, once again. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you.